Okay, so we've been talking about systems of equations. This is two linear equations where we try to identify the solution. We are going to now talk about word problems with systems of equations. So because graphs of systems of equations deal with two lines, that means we are going to have two equations for each word problem, okay? So that means I have to keep in mind that there should be two when I'm reading each problem. And I bet about 90% of the time, and maybe 100% on this particular assignment and notes, they're going to be in standard form. So standard form meaning ax plus by equals c. Okay, so let's start off nice and simple. Number one, the sum of two numbers is 30. The difference of those numbers is 12. So the sum, meaning adding two numbers, since I do not know what those two numbers are, we are going to define them as x and y. So the sum of them, x plus y equals 30, okay? And their difference, so x minus y equals 12, my apologies. So there's our two equations. The sum of those two numbers equals 30, and the difference of those two numbers equals 12. Now they want us to find those numbers. So we are going to first plot them in slope-intercept form by converting. So I'm going to subtract x on this one. Y equals negative x plus 30, simple. This one I'm going to subtract x, but I have negative y equals negative x plus 12. So I need to divide by negative 1. Which changes the sign of negative x to positive x, positive 12 to negative 12. Now, since we've learned the calculator shortcut, we won't have to worry about graphing by hand. We are going to type both the equations into y equals. So the first one was negative x plus 30, and the second was x minus 12. Graph, sorry, mixing up my lessons. Okay, we have to see both lines and where they intersect. So if you look, I can only see one of them, which means there is a second one, but we're going to zoom out. So zoom 3, enter. Okay, now there's my blue one, there's my red one, and we want to find this point of intersection. So remember that 5-button combination. Second, trace 5, enter, enter, enter. My intersection is 21 and 9. X is 21. And y is 9. So I'm not going to write it as a coordinate. I'm going to define my variables. And these are my two numbers. But let's check it. 21 plus 9 does equal 30. And the difference between them is 12. So we did it right. Let's do it again. Number 2. The sum of two numbers is 24, and their difference is 2. So the sum of their two numbers, again, we don't know what those two numbers are. So we're going to use x plus y equals 24, because sum means add. And then their difference, x minus y equals 2. Again, we have to solve for slope-intercept form, so we can't leave it in this form. We're going to subtract x to both sides. So y equals negative x plus 24. On the right side, I'm going to subtract x. Negative y equals negative x plus 2. I'm going to divide everything by negative 1, which changes the sign of negative x to positive x and positive 2 to minus 2. Now that I've converted to slope-intercept form, we are going to type them into our graph or our calculator. X minus 2. We hit graph. We make sure we can see both lines and where they intersect. And since I can, we're going to find this point of intersection. Second, trace 5, enter, enter, enter. My intersection is x is 13, y is 11. So my first number was 13, my second number was 11, and if we check it, 13 plus 11 is 24, and 13 minus 11 is 2. So we're going to do the same thing again, but they are not going to be that simple. If we look at number 3, it says the difference between two numbers is 9. So again, x minus y equals 9. But then it says the first number plus twice the other number. So if x is the first number plus twice the other number means 2y. Equals 27. So you have to really pay attention to the wording. Then I solve for y, so subtract x. Negative y equals negative x plus 9. Divide by negative 1. So that changes the sign from negative x to positive x and positive 9 to minus 9. On this side, I'm going to subtract x. So 2y equals negative x plus 27. I'm going to divide by 2. This does not come out to be a pretty number, but we're going to keep it. So y equals negative 1/2 x. And 27 over 2 does not simplify, so it's just going to be 27 over 2. Totally fine if we have fractions, so let's type this in. So I have x minus 9 and, negative 1/2 x plus 27 over 2. If you trust your math, then you did it all correctly, then we're going to trust our calculator as well. There's my first line, there's my second line, then we're going to do second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. As long as we come out to pretty numbers and see if it follows our equations, then we did it correctly. So my intersection is 15 and 6, x being my first number and y being my second number. If we check it, 15 minus 6 is 9, and 15 plus 2 times 6, which is 15 plus 12, is 27, so it worked out. Number 4, the sum of two numbers is 36, so x plus y equals 36. Twice the first number, so if the first number is x, that means twice x, minus the second number, which is y, equals 6. So wording is important. I'm going to subtract x from both sides. So I have negative x plus 36. On the right side, I'm going to do minus 2x. So negative y equals negative 2x plus 6. Divide by negative 1. So y equals negative 2 over negative 1 is positive 2, and positive 6 over negative 1 is minus 6. Okay. So then I'm going to take those equations, type them in. Everything else is pretty straightforward. It's just the math involved we got to make sure we get correct. We're going to graph them. There's my first line. Here comes my second line. We need to see the point of intersection. Then second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. So my first number, x, is 14. And then my second number, y, is 22. And sorry if you couldn't see that. If we check it, 14 plus 22 is 36, and 14 twice is 28, minus 22 is 6. So it worked out. Okay, two more just like it, because we can't get enough of it. The sum of two numbers is 20, so x plus y equals 20. The difference between 3 times the first number, so 3x, and difference meaning subtraction, and twice the second, is 40. So 3x minus 2y equals 40. Then I solve for y, so y equals negative x plus 20. I'm going to subtract 3x on the right side. Going to divide everything by negative 2. So y equals negative 3 over negative 2 is just positive 3 over 2x. Positive 40 over negative 2 is negative 20. Then we're going to graph both. So negative x plus 20 and 3 over 2x minus 20. Okay. Give it time to load. The more fractions in the equation, the slower it may go, unless you're, I don't know. Then second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. My point of intersection is 16, 4, so x is 16 and y is 4. If we check, 16 plus 4 is 20. 16 times 3 is 48. 48 minus 8 is 40, so it works out. I'm surprised I did that in my head. Last one on these types, the sum of two numbers is 25, so x plus y equals 25. One number is, okay, so tricky here. One number is twice, is meaning equal, is twice the second number plus 7. So this one was a different setup, not quite standard form like we've seen on the others. So make sure you put a star by that one. So then I solve, so minus x, y equals negative x plus 25. On this side, to solve for y, I'm going to subtract 7. So x minus 7 equals 2y, divide by 2. Oops. So x 1/2 x minus 7 over 2 equals y. So not the prettiest. If we graph them, negative x plus 25. Oops, that's 24. And 1/2 x minus 7 over 2. I'm going to graph them. There's my first line. There's my second equation. Again, the more fractions in the equation, the slower it may go, so give it time. Second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. My 2 points, so it works out perfectly, is 19 and 6. 19 plus 6 is 25. And let's see, 6 times 2 is 12 plus 7 does end up being 19. So you could see some like that where you have to translate it into an equation. And then we're going to have the most common, which is standard form equations, where they give you two different topics or ideas and the total, and we set it up in standard form, ax plus by equals c. So let's look at number 7. The cost of 3 boxes of envelopes and 4 boxes of notebook paper is $13.25. 2 boxes of envelopes and 6 boxes of notebook paper cost $17. Find the cost of each. So when we're dealing with word problems especially, we need to make sure we remember x, we have to label what x and y represent. X is going to represent envelopes, and y is going to represent notebook paper. And I'm just going to put notebook, okay? So the reason why we do that is because they're not always going to ask for both, like they're going to do on this problem. They could ask for either, so we have to be prepared. So the first equation is 3 boxes of envelopes plus 4 boxes of notebook paper equals $13.25. Then 2 boxes of envelopes plus 6 boxes of notebook paper equals $17. So then we convert like we've done these up here. Minus 3x, 4y equals negative 3x plus 13 over 25. Divide by 4. So y equals negative 3 over 4 simplifies to negative 3 over 4x. And I'm going to just leave this as positive 1325 over 4. So anytime you're dealing with, and it's okay if you want to divide that out, like if I do 13.25 divided by 4, you're just dealing with crazier decimals, so totally up to you, but I'm just going to leave it as this fraction right here when I type it in. On this side, minus 2x, 6y equals negative 2x plus 17. Divide everything by 6, so y equals negative 2 over 6 simplifies to negative 1/3 x. 17 over 6 does not simplify, so I'm going to leave it 17 over 6. Okay, so when it comes to word problems, you deal with a lot more fractions. So the first equation was negative 3 over 4x plus, and I'm going to leave that a fraction, 1325 over 4. Because if you mess with the rounding of these, then you could end up with a crazy answer. So I want to just leave it with fractions for accuracy. So that's why I leave them that way. Okay, so then you hit graph. Again, the more fractions involved, the slower your calculator could be. So once it's done loading, we do the same thing we've been doing on this entire notes page. Give it time. All right, second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. Okay, we should get, so we do get decimal answers. And if you think about it, the reason why we do get decimal answers is because we're talking about cost. So they were nice and pretty because it goes 2 decimal places. So the cost for an envelope, which is X, is $1.15. And the cost for notebook paper, which is Y, is $2.45. There's your answer. Okay, let's practice a few more. The cost of 12 oranges and 7 apples is $5.36. 8 oranges and 5 apples cost $3.68. Find the cost of each. So again, we're going to label. X is going to represent oranges, and Y is going to represent apples. Okay, this one they so happen to ask for both, so that's nice. But if they just asked me for apples or just asked me for oranges, we need to know which one's which. So my first equation, 12 oranges, which is 12x, plus 7 apples, which is 7y, is $5.36. Whereas 8 oranges, which is 8x, plus 5 apples, which is 5y, equals $3.68. Then I'm going to solve for y, so minus 12x minus 12x. 7y equals negative 12x plus 536. I'm going to divide by 7. Y equals negative 12 over 7 does not simplify, so I'm going to leave it negative 12 over 7x. And 536 over 7, I'm just going to leave as 536 over 7. Okay, if you want to mess with that decimal, you're more than welcome to, but I'm not. So then I'm going to subtract 8x on here. 5y equals negative 8x plus 368. Going to divide everything by 5. Sorry for my horrible handwriting. Negative 8 over 5x plus 368 over 5. Again, I'm going to leave it all as fractions because that's a headache. All right. As long as your math is correct and your signs are correct, we should get an exact answer. So I'm going to leave it where it's less messy, even though it does look pretty messy. So my first equation is negative 12 over 7x plus 5.36 over 7. My second equation is negative 8 over 5x plus 368 over 5. Okay. Then I hit graph, let it load. When you're dealing with money, it's just going to get messy like that. So we're going to keep it simple. Give it time to load because it does take some time with fractions. There's the blue line. My red line should be coming up. At first it looks like it's parallel, but they do eventually intersect. Aren't you glad we're not graphing those by hand? Then you do second trace 5, enter, 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 and you get, again, a decimal answer because we're talking about cost. So the cost of oranges, which is X, is 26 cents. And the cost of apples, which is Y, is 32 cents. And there you go. Number 9. Gabby and Sydney bought some pencils and pencils. Gabby bought 4 pens and 5 pencils for $6.71. Sydney bought 5 pens and 3 pencils for $7.12. So X is going to represent pens. Y is going to represent pencils. Okay, my first equation is 4 pens, which is 4x, plus 5 pencils, which is 5y, equals 671. That is a 1, promise. Whereas the second equation says 5 pens, which is 5x, plus 3 pencils, which is 3y, equals 712. Then I'm going to solve for y, so minus 4x, 5y equals negative 4x plus 671. Divide everything by 5. So y equals negative 4 over 5x plus 671 over 5. I'm going to leave it that way. Minus 5x on this one. 3y equals negative 5x plus 712. Divide everything by 3. Y equals negative 5 over 3x plus 712 over 3. Whew, just a lot of writing, but trust me when I say thank goodness for this calculator. Okay, so the first one is negative 4 over 5x plus 671 over 5. Oh, just erased everything. Gotta love it. Good thing I'm speedy. Maybe. On the second equation, it's negative 5 over 3x plus 712 over 3. Let it graph because it will take some time. Maybe not as much time. The part of being patient is letting the calculator load. But hey, if we had to do this by hand, it would take an astronomical amount of time. Okay, maybe not that bad, but come on, come on. Once you get it graphed, maybe. Second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. We get 2 decimal answers. Okay, X, the cost of pens is $1.19, and the cost of pencils is 0.39 cents. Okay, number 10, last one. On a sale at oh my goodness, at a sale on winter clothing, Cody bought 2 pairs of gloves and 4 hats for $43. Tori bought 2 pairs of gloves and 2 hats for $30. Find the cost of each. So X is going to represent our gloves. Y is going to represent our hats. The first equation says 2 pairs of gloves, so 2x, plus 4 hats, which is 4y, is $43. And I'm going to put 43 instead of 43.00. And the second equation is 2 pairs of gloves, so 2x, plus 2 hats, 2y, equals $30. Then I subtract 2x, 4y equals negative 2x plus 43. Going to divide everything by 4, so y equals negative 2 over 4 simplifies to negative 1/2 x. 43 over 4 does not simplify, so I'm going to leave it 43 over 4. Minus 2x, 2y equals negative 2x plus 30. Divide everything by 2, so y equals negative 2 over 2 is negative 1x. 30 over 2 is 15. That one comes out pretty. So then I graphed both. So negative 1/2 x plus 43 over 3 and negative 1x plus 15. Okay, we're going to see what the cost of both is going to be. once it's done loading. Then second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. Ooh, that's not very pretty. What did I do? Oh, that's why. Man, catch my error. 43/4, I typed it in wrong. I was gonna say we should not get that crazy of an answer. Because when we are dealing with money, how I know I did it correctly is we should only have 2 decimal places. So if you get something long and crazy or repeating like that, then we did something wrong, namely me this time. So I do get 1 decimal place, but remember this is money, so it's not 8.5, it's 8.50 for $8.50, and the cost of hats is $6.50. And there you go.